Hi, Misha here, and this is I guess a bonus episode for the personal channel, Patreons, what have you. Either way, talk about the Benelli M4 because my cousin Fox decided he wants one, and I'm heading down, so thought I'd pull it out. And he wants me to install this, one of the factory plus 2s. It's very simple, very straightforward. But that would look inside. This is a standard M4 Super 90 Tactical, part number 11707. So just kind of your standard M4, but that's not a knock against it. So let's look inside, see what we need to do, hang out for a bit, play with the shotgun. For whatever reason, Benelli still ships their shotguns totally disassembled. You have your manual here, which is not bad. A lot of guns today don't even have a manual. It is very thick, glossy, some extra paper. Then there's this little accessory thing. We have an oil bottle. They still do those. And then we have the choke tool here to do the interchangeable choke, something that's on the police and civilian guns, but not on the military. And that's really it for that. And this bag is actually the bolt. Come back to that for a second. Up here in this cardboard sleeve, inside plastic, stay back, is the barrel. And finally, down here is our main shotgun frame, what have you. Let's get it out and we'll go from there. So here everything is unwrapped. Anyone who knows how these go together understands why the handguards come undone. Sometimes they're rubber banded together, sometimes they're not. Well, I guess they were on this one, I just noticed, but when I took it out they'd already slid off, so there you go. This comes installed. Here's our bolt out of our bag there. Little rat tail. Here's our barrel. Has this kind of like store display plastic thing on top. Make sure you take that off. They didn't always used to do those, but in several years they've done them now. Here's our gun. And that famous dual gas piston system. This is of course a newer one, so it has the rat holes, threaded barrel for chokes. And like I said, what he wants me to do is install this plus 2. As shipped, this has a 5+1 capacity, but it confuses people because of this end piece, this dummy piece. It's essentially the same piece, but crimped, and it doesn't hold anything, hollow. But when people look at it, they often think this does have the extended tube because it's there. The problem is you have to have it. Take a look. The 18.5-inch barrel has the ring back here and up here, part of the whole system, and it needs this tube. Otherwise, this nut has nothing to really tension down on, but this is just there as a spacer. And see, if we pull it off, there's nothing for this to tighten down on. No way for your barrel to tighten down. You have to have it. But it's just a hollow spacer tube with threading on the end. And like I said, it is crimped in the middle quite deeply so that nothing can slide through its spring nor shell. But that's not any fun. So what we want to do is replace this with our piece over here. In this packaging is the definition of non-resealable, so you'll know if you get a used one. Also, don't you love how it leaves a little tape or wrap on the edge. It always does that on the edge, but of course it's on parkerization, so it'll come off. Any kind of light solvent, heck, even WD-40 just melts that adhesive and it comes off. So yeah, we'll put this on since it's not crimped at all, and that'll give us full use of our length. And it's pretty straightforward what we need to do. We're not going to assemble the gun the rest of the way for now. Don't really need to do that. I'll set you down for just a second. Pull the barrel out. What we need to do is quite simple. There's this plug on the end of the tube that's holding in the spring. We need to pull it out of this tube and put it in the end of this tube. And all we need for that, a pair of snap ring pliers. Although if you don't have them, pretty much any kind of prying tool will work based on what it is. Very easily done with just about anything. So, yeah, let's get to it. And here it is, removed. As long as you're not silly about it, this doesn't come out springy with a ton of force. Just go slow, kind of pull it up a bit. You can use a flathead screwdriver if you need to kind of get it the last way. But this is how long it is, which is good because they don't actually give you a new spring with this. But this one is plenty long and pretty strong enough. Seems like they just put it in here, it's just compressed more. At least, you know, I've had it in mine for over 10 years and it still runs reliably. So, what we can do is we just reinstall the snap ring in our new piece. Go from there. And there you go. Really, you just need your pliers to kind of get you started. Then you can just do that. Make sure it's relatively even. If you over-insert it a bit, it'll get pushed out, but it's pretty forgiving. And then all you have to do is compress your spring, which is a little easier on the M4 than some of the others. See? And you can just hand tighten it. No really worries about it coming off because it'll be held on by the barrel and the nut. There you go. And there are a couple of advantages to using this two-piece tube versus the single piece. For one, if you want to do the full 7+1 tube, those are gettable. In fact, they're cheaper. But the end of the tube here is actually Loctited into this receiver, and Benelli's, even the M4, use an alloy receiver. So if you don't have the proper tooling, you can mangle your receiver real good. This is easy, as you saw. It also gives you access to the tube without having to remove the snap ring. Just unscrew it, you can clean it, oil it, replace spring. I really like that. It's also good in case you want to ever SBS it, short barrel shotgun. With the 7+1 single piece tube, as it's called, you're stuck with the 18-inch barrel. But with the two-piece, if you unscrew this front part, you can actually use the nut directly on this rear part, and the 14-inch barrel will fit. That's kind of the entry configuration. And assembly from this point is pretty straightforward. Although, sometimes the bolt can be a little annoying. And that's because when these come, the hammer is not cocked. It's just up. And this tail hits it. When you push it back, it wants to slide to the side. So if you can cock it, that always helps. You can always pull the trigger pack out. It's very easy to do. You just use a bullet tip here and it pops right out. Or you can just kind of guide your right tail of your bolt. Just something to be mindful of when you assemble these. Also, when you screw the tube back together, be mindful you don't crimp the spring in between the two pieces. And once it clicks in, the tail and the hammer kind of interact together in a way where they're not going to slip out. And then you just put your handle back in the hole. and it will rotate, clicking in, and there you go. Put you down. And there's our shotgun. Well, half of it anyway. Installing the barrel is a lot like other shotguns. The bolt seems to really like being at a midway point. And we have to deal with these handguards, which is a bit of a 2.5-handed affair, but you'll get the hang of it, I'm sure. That one slid in quite easily with the bolt fully locked back. I guess kind of depends. But of course, we're not ready to screw our cap on yet. We need to get these handguards on. They're just sandwiched in between here, and they protect your gas system. And the idea behind the M4 is for easy cleaning in the field for grunts. So what you want to do is just, so I'm going to point you somewhere, slide this out a bit. It's new, so it's a little stiff. That's what she said. And these panels are not the same. You'll note the divot here. So they are left and right keyed. And you just put them in here. Next, you want to slide this out. Here. There we go. Hey, sometimes when you're blind. So it just kind of fits in around, or some circular, and it's more squared off back here. And once they're both on, again, it just fits. Now the trick here is you can't do it too early in your assembly. They kind of sandwich in. Again, it's a bit of a 2.5-handed job. There's one going in, as you see. The other one's the same way. So let me finish that up and we'll come right back. So I find that kind of fitting them up front and then squeezing them together in the back is the best way. And I also find letting the bolt go forward at this point helps everything seat properly. There really shouldn't be any noticeable gapping, especially in between the handguard pieces themselves. And when it's fully there, of course, we have exposed threads. And then there is a detent on the barrel band that locks this in. And these don't unscrew when you're shooting. You should get several good detents. And of course, as it wears in, the park wears in, the handguards wear in, it'll become easier, smoother. I've noticed every M4 can be just slightly different, new out of the box. This might seem like a strange method, especially with the handguards, but really, it is perfect for cleaning in the field. Easy access. For one thing, our gas pistons are fully protected. These do seal up very tight, but they're also very easy to get to if you need to clean, as is the barrel to remove and even the mag tube. And again, if you need to get to the trigger group, a 223 bullet tip fits this little divot perfectly, and the trigger just falls out. The trigger group falls out as a single unit, no small pins. And if you do want to put on either a field stock or the collapsing stock, when the trigger group's out, this just unspins. Oh hell, we're doing it. I'll show you anyway. Big old head on this side. It is a fully captive pin. Any pointy thing will do, but again, a 223 bullet tip works perfectly. Let's see how stiff this is. Also, you might want to make sure that it is cocked, and I believe the safety might need to be on. Let me see. Could just be new. This is something I have not done in a long time, so forgive me for maybe not getting it right on the first go. That's what the personal channel's for, right? There we go. So no safety on. So see, it's all one contained group, no bits and bobs flying out. And from here, this whole thing just spins. At least it should. Hang on a sec. Let me see. Again, brand new. You get it started. Be right back. Yeah, all I needed to do was brace it with my leg and get it going because it was just a little bit stuck. But I always thought this was particularly slick. Ta-da! And see, this is part of your recoil system. Much like with the tube up front, this is fixed into the receiver pretty good. It is removable, at least nominally so, but you don't want to do it unless you absolutely have to. But your whole thing is one unit. Notice threading here, that's where it goes. And notice that it has the little divots for the collapsing stock on this tube, if you choose to do that. Warning, earlier ones only have a 2-position tube, and really early ones may not have any positions at all, because they were sold during the assault weapons ban. But after 2004, it's fine to put on a collapsing stock if you so choose. But people like the fixed stocks as well. Rubber grip, dual sling swivel, rubber recoil pad, and there is even a traditional field stock if you so choose. Notice we've got a top rail, bowstring sights, and these sights actually can be adjusted with the edge of a 12-gauge shell. Very thoughtful shotgun. Oh, and your sling swivel here can rotate. When you have your barrel off, you can move it around. It's got a little ring on it you'll have to do. But that's our M4. Pretty slick gun, isn't it? Simple and effective. A bit heavy, but not too bad. Well, let's just screw this back on and wrap things up. Benelli makes these with such nice tolerances that the stock really doesn't want to rotate more than just a fraction past where you need it to be. And also because it is a military gun, there's enough kind of slop that you don't have to have it precisely lined up to get your trigger group in. One thing I'll say, for getting our pin back in, again, because it is quite tightly fitted, another nice tool to have, a rubber mallet. Anyone should have a few of these knocking about. With that, just a couple of taps and it slid in like butter. And yeah, function check it. And we should be ready to go. So yeah, that's some details on the M4 for anyone who didn't really understand or know before. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Messing with an M2 or M3 is a little more involved just because they're not designed with simplicity in mind. I like it, so hopefully Fox does too. And if you do want to, you do have your choke tool. These don't come with extra chokes like the M2, but that's okay. Standard Benelli chokes will work if you need to. But again, the military barrels are fixed choke anyway. Let me know what you think. I just figured since I needed to do this, I'd take it a little bit longer and make a video. Putting it on the personal channel because I'm sure YouTube won't necessarily care for this, so see how it goes. This is Misha. Catch you very soon. Next time.